The Green New Deal is paradoxically extremely popular and virtually unheard of, or at least it was quite recently. A study from December of 2018 by the Yale Program on Climate Change Communications found that 82% of registered American voters had heard nothing at all about the Green New Deal, with just 3% saying they heard a lot about it. The same study found that after the concept was explained to them, 81% of registered voters supported the idea, with just 18% opposing it. Even the majority of respondents who self-identified as conservative Republicans, 57%, supported the idea. With the idea as popular as it is throughout America, it's no surprise that numerous 2020 Democratic candidates have jumped on board. And I'll talk about that at length in this video. But before I talk about the candidates, I'll begin by telling you a little bit about what the Green New Deal resolution contains. It should be understood that if it is adopted and its framework faithfully set into motion, the Green New Deal would undoubtedly reshape America's economy, ecology, law, and society. So understanding what the Green New Deal calls for might just mean being able to provide a surprisingly exhaustive answer to this question about America. What's next? Inspired by FDR's New Deal, the Green New Deal calls for massive overhauls in the economy to deal with the threat of climate change. The concept of a Green New Deal has been around since 2007 and even formed a significant part of the Green Party's platform as far back as 2012. What Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez recently introduced, House Resolution 109, is a non-binding resolution setting out a general blueprint for building a green economy to be implemented and completed within 10 years. Several goals are conspicuously environmental, like the calls to achieve net zero greenhouse gas emissions, protect vulnerable ecosystems, and cleaning up hazardous waste. But it also includes provisions to promote goals outside of what is typically understood as part of the green movement. Economic justice goals, such as providing quality healthcare, higher education, and affordable housing for all. With these combined aims, the resolution is considered by some progressives to be a good litmus test for politicians, especially the 2020 presidential candidates. I recently published a video talking about the details of the Green New Deal resolution, as well as the origins of the idea, so you should check out that video if you want more information. But for now, let's move on from policy to politics and talk about who supports House Resolution 109. The House version of the bill has 67 original co-sponsors, all of them Democrats. Here's a full list. The Senate introduced an identical bill, Senate Resolution 59, sponsored by Edward J. Markey. The Senate version was co-sponsored by 10 Democrats and 1 progressive independent. You may recognize a few of the names as people who are either declared or potential candidates for the 2020 presidential election. Original co-sponsors of the Senate resolution include Jeff Merkley, Bernie Sanders, Kirsten Gillibrand, Kamala Harris, Elizabeth Warren, Mazie Hirono, Ron Wyden, Richard Blumenthal, Cory Booker, Amy Klobuchar, and Christopher Murphy. It shouldn't surprise you to see Bernie Sanders on this list. He held a series of town halls in 2018 to discuss major issues facing America. In his December town hall called Solving Our Climate Crisis, he invited AOC onto the panel to discuss the idea of a Green New Deal.
She is a bold progressive fighting for a Green New Deal and for other legislation, not only in terms of the environment, but in all areas. They're going to protect ordinary people against the greed of big money. So, Alexandria, we're delighted that you're joining us this evening.
Prior to the introduction of the resolution, Axios had criticized Elizabeth Warren for barely mentioning climate change in her exploratory committee announcement and the wording of a quote one of her aides gave to that publication. Senator Warren has been a longtime advocate of aggressively addressing climate change and shifting toward renewables, and supports the idea of a Green New Deal to ambitiously tackle our climate crisis, economic inequality, and racial injustice. Axios' headline read, "Elizabeth Warren backs idea of a Green New Deal," with idea in quotes. And throughout their article, idea was repeatedly put in quotes as if to emphasize some kind of non-commitment. In reality, the Green New Deal was then, and remains today, just an idea, and not a specific set of policies, so there's nothing wrong with her or her aides referring to it as an idea. Indeed, as this same Axios article points out, buried near the bottom, Warren has a 99% lifetime score from the League of Conservation Voters. Now, she is also a co-sponsor of the Green New Deal resolution, so I see no reason to question her commitment to it. Although it is fair to say that environmentalism is not one of her central campaign focuses. On her official website, the issues Warren chooses to focus on are ending Washington corruption, rebuilding the middle class, strengthening our democracy, equal justice under the law, and foreign policy. After looking through Kamala Harris's campaign website, I found no mention of the Green New Deal, the environment, or clean energy. Like Warren, she has tweeted about the Green New Deal. She has also penned a blog post about it, where she hit a number of important key points. For too long, we have been governed by lawmakers who are beholden to big oil and big coal. They have refused to act on climate change. Climate change is real, and it is an existential threat to our country, our planet, and our future. We don't have much time to make the urgent changes we need to protect ourselves and our planet. Stressing the urgency of the matter, as well as the corruption involved in not addressing the issue in previous decades, is great. I would have loved to see more details and specifics, but she does have all the right sound bites to ingratiate herself to progressives, who I suspect at this point don't fully trust her commitment to progressive issues. Aside from co-sponsoring the bill, Cory Booker also tweeted in favor of the resolution and put out a video of himself addressing a question about the topic. Booker has also faced a bit of ridicule after a different video shows him likening the Green New Deal to fighting the Nazis and going to the moon.
Our planet is in peril, and we need to be bold. It's one of the reasons why I signed on to the resolution, a co-sponsor of the resolution for the Green New Deal. And there's a lot of people now that are blowing back on the Green New Deal. They're like, oh, it's impractical. Oh, it's too expensive. If we used to govern our dreams that way, we would have never gone to the moon. God, that's impractical. You see that ball in the sky? We are a nation that has done impossible things before. And so we need to be bold again in America. And when the planet has been in peril in the past, who came forward to save Earth from the scourge of Nazi and totalitarian regimes? We came forward.
Honestly, I don't really see the problem here. I don't think it's absurd to claim that climate change is a serious global threat, like the one the US fought in World War II. And like the moon landing, the mission seems impossible. Indeed, an article in New York Magazine criticized the Green New Deal on exactly those grounds, that the proposal is too ambitious. Very few environmental experts consider the targets laid out in the plan to be remotely attainable. Strangely enough, Kirsten Gillibrand also used a comparison to the Apollo missions when she argued in favor of the resolution a couple of weeks before its introduction during an appearance on Pod Saves America. I think we need a moonshot. We need to tell the American people we are going to have a green economy in the next 10 years, and not because it's easy, but because it's hard, because it's a measure of our innovation and effectiveness. Amy Klobuchar, another Senate co-sponsor of the resolution, recently announced her presidential bid from what appears to be the frozen heart of winter itself.
It was cold.
She vowed to rejoin the Paris Climate Accord on day one and invest in green jobs and energy. Julian Castro also affirmed his dedication to the Green New Deal and the Paris Climate Accord prior to the introduction of House Resolution 109. He said, "As president, my first executive order will recommit the United States to the Paris Climate Accord. We're gonna say no to subsidizing big oil and say yes to passing a Green New Deal." He has yet to weigh in on the resolution since its introduction and is obviously not a co-sponsor since he is not a member of Congress. Likely presidential candidate Beto O'Rourke expressed excitement and support of the Green New Deal. He told BuzzFeed News, "I'm really excited about the leadership there to meet our commitment to the generations that follow. It is the best proposal that I've seen to ensure that this planet does not warm another 2 degrees Celsius, after which we may lose the ability to live in places like El Paso." Pete Buttigieg also expressed a general support for the resolution. Standing out from the pack is John Delaney, a rare Democratic critic of the resolution. He says he supports environmental legislation in general, but of House Resolution 109, he said, "I prefer a more specific, actionable plan to do something big on climate, like the bipartisan carbon tax dividend bill I led. We can't turn climate into a political issue. We need to do something big as soon as possible." When it was first introduced, Tulsi Gabbard was quiet about the proposal but declined to join the 67 original co-sponsors of the resolution in the House. Since that time, she has joined John Delaney in criticizing the GND.
I have some concerns with the Green New Deal and about some of the vagueness of the language in there, so have not co-sponsored that resolution.
Despite her rejection of the resolution, Gabbard has supported the concept of a green economy in the past. Just last year, she introduced H.R. 3671, also known as the Off Fossil Fuels for a Better Future Act. She said of her bill, "For too long, our nation has failed to take action on climate change, putting the future of our people and our planet in danger. This inaction has led to record-breaking sea levels that are eroding our infrastructure, rising ocean temperatures that are dramatically altering marine life and destroying our coral reefs, and exacerbating natural disasters. All people deserve to breathe clean air, drink clean water, and believe in the promise of a bright future. We must build upon the momentum growing at the federal, state, and local levels and pass the OFF Act to end our addiction to fossil fuels and transition the country to a 100% clean energy economy by 2035. This bill lays the foundation for a just and economic pathway toward a cleaner, more secure future for all." Gabbard has also made the environment an important issue for her campaign. On her 2020 website, she opens her biography by talking about her early support for protecting the environment, and boasts, "She is a champion for protecting our environment, ensuring clean water and air for generations to come, investing in infrastructure and a green energy economy, sustainable agriculture, and she needs your help." Gabbard and Delaney are not alone in declining to support the Green New Deal resolution. Several declared and potential presidential candidates have yet to weigh in on the issue, perhaps most notably the party's early frontrunner, Joe Biden. But whether or not a politician expresses a general support for House Resolution 109 is insufficient information for understanding whether they are actually supportive of protecting the environment. Politicians who are honest environmentalists may disagree with specifics such as the time frame of the bill, or particulars that don't necessarily connect to environmentalism, such as the provision to guarantee jobs with paid vacations. Also recall that this is a non-binding resolution. A presidential candidate who wants to appear good on climate change but in actuality serves the fossil fuel companies may sign on to the resolution and later vote down measures to implement the specific policies needed to achieve the goals of this framework. For the Green New Deal to work, we need to continue to watch politicians who sign on and hold their feet to the fire as new proposals to implement the vision come to the foray. To know what a politician really thinks about the Green New Deal, we need to watch not just whether or not they vote or even co-sponsor House Resolution 109. The real test will be their actions with regards to this question.
But when I read the proposed bill, and I read that by 2030, they're suggesting that every building in America becomes clean energy, that would mean that between 2,000 and 3,000 buildings a day would have to be reconstructed